Hi, my name is Verna van Schaik and I hold the Guinness World Record for the deepest dive by a woman, which is why I can safely tell you that there is nothing more useless than a world record. I spent almost 6 hours underwater to reach 221 meters, only to discover that nothing really had changed in my life. If anything, it had gotten worse, because now people somehow expected me to be different, and I knew I wasn't. How else could someone who took over 3 years just to find the courage to join a diving school, just to learn how to dive, become the deepest woman in the world? I found myself unable to get below 120 meters. It was as if I was at one of those pivotal moments. I could walk away from my dive, and that was where I was stuck, or what? What was it that I was doing wrong? Why couldn't I get deeper? Because I just knew here inside myself that I was good at diving, that this was something I could do. In that moment of absolute sheer desperation, I suddenly realized that there was one thing I hadn't tried yet, and that I wouldn't be able to forgive myself for giving up if I hadn't tried it. Which was interesting because I'd spent 3 years avoiding doing just this one thing, and that was letting go of wishing that things were different and just accepting exactly what I had and how things were and getting on with diving. It would mean that I'd need to actually step out into the open, trust myself, and dive unprotected and undefended and completely visible to the world, something that even today gives me absolute shivers. I was petrified, but I was also determined, so I set up a dive for that Easter to 145 meters, and of all the dives I've ever done, that must rate as one of the hardest, because I had to fight every single step of the way just to keep from giving up, but I made it. And I cannot describe to you that feeling of intense freedom and liberation and joy that came from that experience of stepping into my fear and trusting myself and winning. I was now also only one dive away from a world record, and much to my utter astonishment, I found myself within weeks of that dive with a fully sponsored, fully organized, supported world dive record attempt dive scheduled for the end of the year. Which brings me back to my opening statement that there's nothing more useless than a world record dive. And there isn't, because until I worked out what it was I'd done on that dive, my success remained locked inside diving. And it was then that I started to realize that what I'd wanted wasn't the world record. What I wanted was to be feeling free and limitless and powerful in any moment of any day. What had happened to me was that I'd stumbled across the one thing that every born dream maker knows, that it is not good enough to be good at what you're doing. It is not enough to be good at it. You also have to have the right behavior to take you where you want to be. And what every natural dream maker knows is that behavior is something that can be learnt. It is a skill just like any other. Which was a complete mind opener for me, because I knew I hadn't been born a world record holder. It was something I'd had to learn, and it had been a hard thing to learn. My diving taught me that who I am is not set in stone. Who I am is a choice. It's something I get to practice. And now when I find myself dreaming about how my life could be, I stop and I just take a moment to just ask myself one question. Who is it I need to start being? Especially in those moments where I'm stuck and I can't seem to push myself further. Who is it that I need to start being? And that's what I'd like to leave you with today. Just that thought, that question. Next time you are sitting dreaming about how you would like your life to be, stop for a moment, let go of the things you think you should be doing, and ask yourself that one question. Who is it you need to start being for your dream to come true?